Welcome to my channel and thank you so much for tuning in. Today we'll be drawing a loose sketch of a shop in Japan. We'll reference this image, which may seem complicated at first, but we'll simplify it to complete the sketch in 20 minutes. I'm going to start off with the shape of the signage. It's a simple rectangle that I'll be using as my reference shape, meaning that I will refer to it to scale all the other shapes in my drawing. Remember that even a complicated image is basically made up of shapes, so just think of it as drawing a bunch of shapes. Our goal today is not to draw a super detailed drawing that looks realistic. Our goal is to put aside any fear of making mistakes and practice sketching quickly and recording the overall atmosphere and the vibe. So if we were to show this drawing to someone, ideally they would be able to have an idea of what the space feels like without actually being there. And imagine if we were actually on site, we may not always have the time to finish a detailed drawing. So that's what we're practicing today. Forget about getting a perfect drawing. Just have fun. So keeping that in mind, we can look past a lot of minor details. We want to maintain the more prominent details that make up the overall atmosphere. So that includes the roof shingles, the greenery, the red banner, and maybe a bit of the clutter on the side of the building. We don't need to draw all the little details of the clutter. We just need to convey the idea of the clutter. So I'm just scribbling in some random pots and objects. Now on to the front windows. I always start in the middle when I'm subdividing shapes so that I can work my way out to make sure the panels are roughly the same size and that they're symmetrical. Going back to what I mentioned earlier about looking past minor details, sometimes I find it hard to pare back on adding the details. I think it helps to ask yourself what you remember from the image after looking at it. What were the key things that stood out? For me, the texture of the shingles contributes a lot to the image, and so I'm drawing in the rough pattern to convey the idea of the texture. I'm adding the slats on the front door, again, just to show some texture. I think adding some surrounding elements also help make the drawing feel more complete. But because those are not the main focus of the drawing, we can just quickly outline them to suggest that there is more beyond the building. I'm actually not very used to drawing or thinking this way. I'm used to drawing in CAD where all the lines and layers are super clean and there's just no room for ambiguity because those are construction drawings and serve as legal documents. So this, drawing loose, is a very challenging exercise for me. Now on to coloring. If you watch my other videos of my more detailed drawings, you will notice that I usually apply a very light gray as a base layer, but here, because we're doing a quick sketch, I want to see the values quickly, so I'm going straight in with the midtones, and I don't worry as much about gradually building up the color. I think this gives a more sketchy feeling to the drawing. We also don't need to worry about filling the entire shape with color. A bit of white and brush strokes are nice, I think, because in reality, objects won't have a solid color throughout, and there would be reflective areas as well. So the white makes it feel more natural. My marker is a bit dry. This was not planned, but it kind of helps since the strokes are similar to the wood panels in the reference image. So it's fine. We can pretend that it wasn't a mistake. For the greenery, I'm just adding curves to show the leaf pattern, and I don't have to be super precise. And then layering on a lighter green to add more value. I decided to add a layer of light gray to smooth out the harsh strokes of my dry marker so that it blends it in a bit. And yes, I need to buy some refill soon. Okay, so I think this looks a bit better. What do you think? In the reference photo, this banner is actually in bright red, but I personally like the more dusty and the grayish colors, so that's why I picked something a bit more muted. this is a quick way to indicate that these are reflective materials by adding these 45-degree strokes with the light gray. I like using the light gray to go over places where I don't want the attention. If we don't do that, the white of the paper will be too bright. So I'm just adding a bit of neutral colors to indicate that there is something there, but don't look too closely. I think we're missing some contrast here, so I'm adding more shadows now. Actually, I think overall it needs to have more darker tones. I think it's not quite there yet. We need more texture to have that robust feeling of the building. More scribbles for the greenery. I'm only adding the outline for the greenery and never adding too much detail, just to show the masses. I like hatching in some shadows to make the sketch look more three-dimensional. It also makes the drawing feel less realistic and more sketchy. I don't know how I completely missed this roof. And then just quickly filling in the floor to help the building look more grounded. It's completely fine that it's rough like that. We just want to show that the building is sitting on something and not floating in the air. I usually don't add the sky, but this drawing feels a bit dull to me, and the sky can brighten up the image. The light color will soften the drawing, but won't draw attention away from the focal point, so that's what we want. We're at about 20 minutes right now. Typically, I spend about 1 to 2 hours to complete a drawing, and usually I spend a lot more time on the details. And as I said, drawing quick and loose is something new that I'm working on. And from looking at what I've done so far, I think for next time I can work on reducing all the lines and only retain what is critical, because I think that will clean up the drawing a lot. There are certainly things that I can improve on, but overall I'm happy with this. At least it's a different approach. It's easy to get caught up in the fear of not measuring up to our own or others' expectations. It's easy to feel afraid about making mistakes, but it's important to have the willingness to try. So, if you're hesitant to pick up a pencil, remember, if you make mistakes, embrace the imperfections, celebrate the process, and just enjoy it.